G'day everyone, welcome back to Brushes with Beck and part 3 of my Leafy Seadragon drawing. I just want to apologise in advance for my bird here. She's being a little bit noisy today and you might hear her in this section of the video. This is why I tend not to record while I'm drawing, because I like to draw during the day when I get some natural light in the room, and that's obviously when my bird is more active and noisy. Whereas with my voiceover videos, where I've sped them up, I tend to record those, draw them whenever, and then I record the audio at night when my bird is sleeping. So what I'm going to do now is, let's go over this watercolour pencil picture with some coloured pencil, refine some details, add some highlights. So I'm going to be using the Derwent Drawing Chinese White, and also my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. So just to add a few details here and there, bring out the highlights, and just refine the drawing overall. Nothing too special. So if you've watched my previous videos, you can actually see my parrot. I did a drawing of her. It's one of my very first videos, so the quality's not as good. But I did a drawing of my parrot. She's an eclectus parrot. Her name is Dory. Like the movie Finding Dory. And she is extremely high maintenance, as parrots tend to be. But that's just what you get when you get a parrot. So I was trying to decide if I might go around the edges with like a fine liner, like a felt tip pen, but I haven't been able to decide yet. So obviously I want the outline to be quite crisp, but I'm not sure. At the moment it's quite ill-defined, so I might just pick a dark gold colour, perhaps, and start by going around with that and just seeing how that looks. I don't know if I should use bright gold as well. Maybe a bright yellow. See, but that's not going to define the edges because it's not going to go over the black. Decisions. But this is working quite nicely. This colour is dark Naples ochre. And I quite like that underneath there, actually. It's adding a little bit of refinement there to those lines. And another thing I like about doing these watercolour pencil sketches is when I use coloured pencil, I tend to feel a bit more pressure to make everything look really good. Like everything has to be just so. and tidy. But working with watercolour pencil, because it's already sort of a messy medium and I'm doing it more for loose practice, I don't feel that pressure then to make this perfect. It just has to be neat. So I'll try not to spend too long on this, which I have said so many times already. And already this has become a multi-part drawing instead of just a one quick draw with me segment. But that's okay. It's good to do different styles of segments every now and then. And I'm not sure whether people would prefer this longer style draw with me, where we work on something larger over a few videos rather than a one quick video. See, even just adding the line underneath, it's adding so much definition. I'm not 100% sure what I had going on over here. It's getting harder for me to get the right angle to draw on this. My lighting setup is also quite unique because I've got my camera tripod. The front two legs of my camera tripod are resting on the desk, while the third leg rests on the ground. And attached to those front two legs of my tripod, I have two lights. I have one light on each leg, plus an additional light attached to a lamp, so that my main light comes from sort of this way, so it hits my hand and it doesn't create too much shadow on the page. And then I've also got the main light from the ceiling just to add a bit of extra brightness, which is why you get this little shadow, because that's from the main room light. But without it, it does stay a little bit dark. I'm not sure what I've done over here again. I think perhaps this. Yeah, there we go. When in doubt, look at your reference photo. This paper is a smooth hot press watercolour paper, a hot pressed watercolour paper, so there's not a lot of texture to pick up extra pencil. If you've got more texture on your paper, you're going to get more pigment from your pencil, and it's going to be easier to go over some areas with lighter colours. if you've got that texture to take the pigment off the pencil. Might just sharpen my pencil up a bit. I use the Prismacolor sharpener. It's got the two different holes. I tend to use the one on the right. The one on the left creates a more stubby point, and the one on the right creates the point you see here. That's just my personal preference. But it seems to do the trick for what I need it to do. Got all these leafy bits on his little nose. Sorry, I should be talking more. I keep realising that I've got cat hair all over me. I keep realising that I'm not saying much, and this is supposed to be a draw with me where I talk to you guys. And here I am sitting here silently. I suppose I should have figured out something additional to talk about before I started recording. If you haven't watched the earlier parts of this video, go and check that out on my channel called Draw With Me. Same title as this one, just the earlier parts. Like I said, I worked on hot pressed watercolour paper. It's only a cheapie paper, just for these sketches. I used Derwent Watercolour Pencils. And now I'm just going over the top with regular coloured pencils. And I'm wondering if I should just colour in a bit behind the seahorse and make that a bit darker. As a thing, you can use watercolour pencils or watercolour paint as a base underneath your colour pencil pieces. I wonder if indigo is going to be dark enough. Dark indigo might be alright. There we go. Just want to darken that up a little bit. It's just what it needs. It's virtually a perfect colour match too, which is always nice. I'm just working my way out from the middle here. I just want to darken up this area behind the main body of the seahorse just to make it pop out a little bit more and hopefully get a little bit more clarity on these features by defining some of the edges a little more. would be quite beneficial, because I was pretty messy with my watercolour pencil work on this piece, and that was intentional. I was in a bit of a rush trying to get the video done in a reasonable amount of time, which I still didn't anyway, and just, you know, trying to keep it loose and sketchy. That's a little bit dark in there, that's okay. Another option would have been for me to go over this again with watercolour pencil. The black pencil again, add a bit more in, and then add some more water, but I didn't really want to blend the yellow out with the darker areas and risk that happening more than it already had. Just go over that there. But I think this will work quite nicely because I haven't blended out the watercolour pencil completely smoothly, so adding in the regular pencil over top with a bit of that graininess is not going to cause any issues in terms of contrasting appearance of those two different mediums. Another way to tidy this up would be with a pen, like a pen and ink sort of thing. I know a lot of people do a watercolour painting and then use ink over the top for all the features. Gives quite a nice result. Now I'm not going to go in between those areas because that's supposed to be that sort of dorsal fin there, and like to keep that looking sort of semi-transparent. That's a little bit better. Better and better. It's got a bit more zing to it than it had before. Just defining those darker areas a little more. And that's, again, that's just values. Getting those values to be contrasting enough that it makes a big difference. Speaking of which, let's see if I can add some darkness in here. Green area I just felt needed a little bit more yellow. Just pop that up. Like I said, I'm being pretty loose and messy with this. you would, if you want to do this properly, you could easily spend a week or more on a piece like this with how much detail is actually in the reference photo that I've just left out for this quick image. Nice to add some textures or something, but there's really not any textures in my reference photo. Like, you can't see any scales or anything, it's just all these fronds and lots of yellow. Thought I would have refined it a little bit more. Do think I need some more darker area around the eye. No, wrong colour. Is this Nougat? No, raw umber. That's alright. Let me get something darker again. Oh, my colours have gotten mixed up. I hate my pencils being out of order. Maybe that's just me. But I am loving having so many colours to choose from. That's pretty, it's a lot of fun. It takes longer to choose colours too because I've got too many to choose from. I'm still tempted to outline the whole thing. The other trouble is, if I outline it, once I've done that I can't exactly go back to not having it outlined, and I have to do the whole thing. I'm kind of tempted to go over this blue. But I don't know that that's a good idea either. I say as I continue to go over it. Tape's coming up, it's been down there too long. I don't even know what I'm doing now. I'm just doodling. I don't know that I really want to add too much more. It's not super defined, but it's better than it was, I might just... No, that's the wrong colour. What have I got? I have light phthalo blue. Just going to go around some more of these, what I've been calling fronds, but they're not really fronds, they are whatever they are. Just to give them a little more definition again. Because I really want this Leafy Seadragon to pop against that background, which it's not really doing because, like I said, it's just not defined very well. And that's because my edges are messy. Nothing more than that. Just messy edges. But this has been a fun process though. I haven't used... This is the first time, or at least recently, that I have used colour pencil over watercolour. Because my previous watercolour pencil pieces that I've done recently, that I've put up on Instagram, have simply just been the watercolour pencil, with no additional pencil over the top. And this is the first time I'm doing that. I could just be using the watercolour pencils themselves to refine this detail over the top as well, if I wanted to. That would be possible, but this coloured pencil is not going to smudge if I then want to do a wash of watercolour pencil over the top. This will stay exactly where I've put it. Whereas obviously if I had used watercolour pencil here, and then I decided I wanted to add some additional watercolour pencils, say, for the blue, for the ocean, I would then have to be extremely careful because I'd be blurring all these outlines that I just spent time putting in. I keep saying to myself, and now we're almost done, and then I keep seeing something, I'm like, no, I can't say that yet, I'm not done yet. But I do want to keep saying, now we are done. It's a little better again. It's still just a little bit, maybe it needs a real pop of, sorry, my chair's squeaking. A real pop of values. Something like that. Because it can be easy to be afraid to go all out with your values in the beginning. And that's fine. You can build up your values over time and get them to where they need to be. But being able to recognize when your values are still too dull, I suppose, is the hard part. There's these little brown spots, but they're sort of faded out in some of these fronds. They're not solid spots, they're just kind of loose blotches. I guess that's part of the camouflage, I would say, because these animals are extremely well camouflaged in their natural environment. That's a bit better. Okay, I think I need a little bit more white up here. Maybe some more yellow. I reckon I need more yellow in there. Which yellow did I use? I don't even remember now. Just needs a pop. I don't know that I put a lot of watercolour pencil down in this area. That's why it's a bit pale. There we go. That's pretty darn good. That is pretty good indeed. Well, that wasn't a huge addition to the piece, but I do hope you enjoyed this video. And it was just fun for me to just have a relaxing sort of scribbling of colour over the top. This probably would have been better, like I said, if I'd had more detail in my reference photo or had something to add, such as scales, to add some texture into here, but it really is all quite smooth in my reference photo. So there's not too much I can do. But once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, comment down below. If you haven't watched the previous installments, go and check them out on my channel. I will link them in the cards, hopefully, if I remember to do that, because sometimes I do forget to add in cards. But thank you once again for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you like this video. I upload a new art video every week. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Brushes with Beck, and I will see you next week for another video. Thanks again. See ya!